Good evening. The September 2023 monthly meeting of Dixon County School Board is now in session. For the record, I'd like to recognize all the school board members present, as well as Tanya Baker, Board Clerk, Scott Mullen, School Board Attorney, and Haley Robinson, Division Superintendent. At this time, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have the agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda?
Mr. Rasnick, there are no additions to the agenda, sir.
Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes. That brings us to public comment. Mr. Hayden, will you please read the guidelines for public comment? Ms. Martin, will you please be our timekeeper?
Public comment will be designated on the meeting agenda during which the public may comment on issues related to public education. The Dickinson County School Board believes that the citizens of the county should be heard and that this is an acceptable format for receiving public comment. After the public comment section of the meeting is closed, the public shall not be allowed to participate in general board member discussions regarding agenda items. Public participation with the board members regarding agenda items can be disruptive, and the practice is prohibited by Robert's Rules of Order. It is the desire of the school board to treat each member of the public fairly and equally. Allowing one individual to participate while excluding others is unfair. The board will hold such public hearings as may be necessary to allow the public to more fully express their concerns, or the board may place the comment section of any meeting at the end of the meeting to allow additional public comments. While we do not wish to restrict the free expression of opinion, we feel that certain restrictions may be necessary so that order and reasonable standards of decorum may be maintained. We ask that the following standards be adhered. The speaker will be recognized by the chair. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. Speakers will refrain from the use of vulgarity or profanity and will avoid negative or embarrassing comments directed towards specific children or students. The board members should not respond to issues presented by speakers unless clarification is necessary. Matters of concern raised under public comment will be referred to the proper official for investigation and future board consideration if necessary.
Mr. Rasnick, Mr. Mullins in the back will be our timekeeper. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you. For public comment, we'd like to recognize Kathy Music with VPE.
Yeah, it's working. Okay. Chairman Rasnick, Mrs. Robinson, members of the board, I guess as I recall on my career, we are coming upon the longest month there is, October. There's so many things to do and so much to do in that month. So I think when you get to this point, you take a big, we're here, but I know y'all, with the new school and all that, everybody's worked hard and off to a great start. There's a lot of excitement, and kudos to all of you for all the wonderful things you've got going. Another exciting thing, 2% more from the state of Virginia for teachers, and I look forward to seeing and all the other monies that's coming for reading loss and recovery and helping with absenteeism. So that's exciting to get more money into the county and more money in everybody's pocket. So congratulations on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sean Taylor, DEA.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again for the opportunity to speak. This year seems to, or appears to have gotten off to a great start, because the only thing that I've heard about from many of our members has been the 2%. When is the state going to get that done. And thankfully, the email was very informative, and it answered a lot of questions that I didn't have to, so I do appreciate that. And since then, haven't had anybody ask about it, so that's been good, and hopefully that's a sign that everybody's happy and doing well this year. I know with all the changes that we've had our first meeting, and we're getting a little shuffling and reorganizing a little bit due to the change, having to get in new representation at the schools and such, and adding representation that they've allowed us now to get more members involved in what's our executive committee. So seems like it's a good year. We look forward to continuing. I know we had our first meeting yesterday, and we look forward to working with the board this year, and let's hope that it keeps positive and continues and bleeds into next year. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Tiller. Is there anyone else for public comment? If not, our next agenda item is the consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes, approval of monthly bills, revenue and expenditure summary, and discussion of school activity funds, approval of field trips, approval of elementary school construction invoices, the approval of the bank reconciliation documents, and health statement account. Are there any questions or discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Our next agenda item is information for the school board. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Resnick. Good evening, board members. Good to see you tonight. Just information for the board are just the conferences and seminars listed for October the 24th, and of course the VSBA annual conference on November the 15th and 17th. If you would like to attend either one of these conferences, please let Tanya Baker know as soon as possible so that she can make the arrangements. Thank you very much.
Ms. Robinson, will you please tell us about the good news from our schools?
It would be my pleasure. First of all, I'd like to congratulate, Ms. Baker, did you put those by there? Okay. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Damon Resnick and Dr. Lurton Lyle for earning points for VSBA points. They have attended conferences, and Dr. Lyle has received the Award of Distinction, which is a Starfish pen, Dr. Lyle, and that's 84 credits in 2 years. Congratulations. And Mr. Resnick, you have received a Certificate of Recognition, 15 credits per year. So congratulations to both of you for representing our school board and being able to attend these other VSBA conferences and bringing back that information to us. Thank you very much and congratulations. Thank you. I'd like to see that Starfish pen, Dr. Lyle. that should be interesting.
Starfish pen.
Yes, sir. It should be there somewhere. Our next, Ms. Martin was involved in a conference with a parent and will be here shortly, but I will go ahead and do the attendance for her. As of August 31st, 2023, our student enrollment was 1,940. That includes all of our enrolled students, our pre-K and post students, 3-year program, and virtual students. We'd like to look at the student enrollment for each of our schools and their attendance percentage for our students. Clintwood Elementary School has 272 students with a student percentage of 95.17%. Ridgeview Elementary School, 610 with an attendance percentage of 91.81%. Ridgeview Middle School, 444 with a student attendance percentage of 94.82%. And Ridgeview High School, 614 students with 91.44% student attendance percentage. We're going to hear much more about our attendance and chronic absenteeism and how that compares to truancy from Mark Mullins, and then also from a PowerPoint presentation. But one of our focuses this year is student attendance and increasing student attendance. Our pre-K enrollment at Ridgeview Elementary School, we have 63 students. Also included in your attendance information is the August 2023 entry and withdrawals, the enrollment comparisons for the last several years, so you get to see before COVID, during COVID, and then pre-COVID, what our student attendance comparisons have done, the monthly comparisons, and then the absence intervention teams. And as Ms. Martin has said, each school has an absence intervention team, and we'll talk more about that and what their goals are. So that information is included in your packet for your information. Ms. Martin has it listed by schools, and then also where we were last year at this time and where we are now. Any questions about the attendance? Any comments about the attendance? Any questions at all that I may be able to answer? And if I don't know the answer, we can certainly get Mrs. Martin to clarify that point for you. She's also included our August 2023 attendance incentives, and you see the slide quite a bit there from Ridgeview Elementary School, and then all of the other things that we're trying to celebrate the successes of our students, whether it's attendance, whether it's grades, whether it's being kind to someone, going out of their way to recognize that. So that is one of our big focuses this year. And we'll talk more about that as I've mentioned. Also included in your packet is the Ridgeview Middle School After the Bell newspaper. As you know, the After the School Wolfpack After the Bell has been in existence now, I think about a year, and so it's gone to a great start, and so those students wanted to participate in a newspaper, and so you'll see what the newspaper is, and looks very official, and so just a great job by those students in the after-school program, and our facilitators, Portia Fletcher and April Hay. They report that the students were so excited about this project and are enjoying it immensely. So just a recognition for them. Thank you, sir. Any questions? I'm sorry, any questions from the board regarding attendance or any other item that way? All right, thank you.
Did that take care of the 10-day enrollment period?
Excuse me?
Did that take care of the 10-day student enrollment report?
We discussed that at our August meeting. I'm not sure. Let me check to see if that was included in her information. If it wasn't included, it may have been under August of 22nd. On this page right here, you may have seen the 10-day enrollment.
Okay.
So you'll see that for each of our schools. Ridgeview Elementary School, Clintwood Elementary School, Ridgeview Middle, and Ridgeview High School. But I will get that information out to you again.
Okay.
What our 10-day enrollment was, the way that it compares to the end of August.
Right. Thank
And
you.
I'll get that information to the board.
Our next agenda item is the update on Ridgeview Elementary School and the Sand Lake demolition. Mr. Burge.
And board members, as Mr. Burge comes, you have a progress report at your table that you can also look at.
Well, good to see everyone again this month. Getting to start a new project again. So that's real nice. On the addition to the new addition, the 2023 addition to the elementary school, they've made great progress thus far. They got the building pad in place during the last part of August. They started the footings, got those poured. They started the ICF exterior walls and pouring those. The underground plumbing's been done and completed and inspected, and they will be pouring the slab, first floor slab, sometime next week, probably Wednesday to Friday, somewhere in one of those days. As far as the budget and procurement, the planning for the furniture is in progress. Low-base pavement procurement is in progress. IT requirements are in progress, and the project still remains within budget. On the Sandlick Elementary demolition project, they started last week with the abatement. They have actually now, they got the cafeteria done, some rooms around the cafeteria as I was there on Monday. And then they were prepping the first floor. I guess it's kind of that courtyard area towards the river. They were prepping those rooms and the backside there to get ready to do the abatement there. They'll probably be there for about 4 weeks, which will give us time to get all the permits in place from DEQ and be ready to start demo right after that. Some of the photos we have, the one up here is a picture of this week where they've got the forms in, they were getting ready to pour a slab. This was before the plumbing had been inspected. Next, this is some of the plumbing that before it was inspected under tests. Next, here's some of the footers. You can see they're going to be laying the first course of cinder block on those interior footers probably Monday, and then they can complete the backfill around the walls. As you can see, part of that's already done around the ICF. Next, here's another picture of the slab prep in progress, getting ready for the slab to be poured. Next, another kind of overall picture of it looking back towards the baseball field. Next. I guess I jumped ahead. So on Sandlick, like I said, demolition progress, like I said earlier, the contractor is on site. Asbestos abatement has started. Demolition will begin after that's done. Budget and everything is in place. And then, like I said, we're working on the DEQ permit right now. Here's some of the areas that they've been working on. Getting ready, this one here, they were getting ready to start the abatement in this room. Next, this is another one, they're taking out the casework, getting ready to start there. Next one, this is the cafeteria where they've already completed the abatement. And this is one of the smaller rooms where they've done the abatement. Seems to be going good down there. I'm real pleased with everything thus far. I think that's the last one. Any questions or comments about either one of the projects that's going on right now? Or anything on the elementary school that anybody has concerns about?
Does anyone have a question for Mr. Burge?
Okay, thank you.
Sounds like things are going good. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, sir.
Our next item on the agenda is Dixon County Public Schools accreditation reports for 2023 and 2024. Mr. Mark Mullins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, members of the board. We've got another short PowerPoint for you here. We want to update the board on our, as Mr. Rasnick said, on our 23-24 state accreditation results. Those were just released by the Department of Ed this month. And the first thing we would like to do, thank you, Mr. Wallace, is to remind the board just briefly of the indicators that the state looks at as far as accreditation for our schools. It's quite a lengthy formula. It's about a 40-page document that the state has as they calculate accreditation. So we're not going to go through 40 pages by any means, but just real briefly to remind the board the things that are looked at as far as accreditation for a school. For the elementary and middle schools, they're evaluated on the following indicators: overall proficiency and growth rates in English reading and writing achievement. So basically, we are looking, as far as the proficiency goes, that is SOL pass rates for all of our reading and writing tests. And then growth rates, which were introduced by the state a few years back, but just to remind everybody, growth rates are students who fail the test one year, fail the test the next year, but show a certain level of progress towards proficiency or passing. And so those students who fall into that category, according to some progress tables and charts that have been put in place by the Department of Ed, also count into that calculation. The next indicator, overall proficiency and growth rates in mathematics, overall proficiency in science, so the only difference here is growth is not taken into account for science tests. English achievement gaps among student groups. So I'll just share with you the student groups that the Department of Education looks at. So they're not only looking at all students, the all student group, but then they break it down by these individual groups. And those groups are Asian students, Black students, white students, Hispanic students, multiple race, economically disadvantaged, English learners, and students with disabilities. So those are the student groups that the state looks at as they calculate accreditation. Next slide, please. For the high schools, there are a few more indicators, but their indicators: overall proficiency in English reading and writing, and growth does not apply at the high school level. It's pass only. Overall proficiency in mathematics, again, growth does not apply at the high school level. Overall proficiency in science. English achievement gaps among the student groups, same as the groups we went over earlier with the elementary and middle school. Mathematics achievement gaps among student groups. And then these additional indicators. Graduation and completion index. So the state is looking at a goal here for a high school to have at least an 88% or higher rate for graduation and completion index. And this is looking at your graduating class and looking at the number of students who receive diplomas, GEDs, or certificates of completion. Each of those are counted at a certain percentage, with diplomas being the highest, of course, and we're looking at, the state is looking at an 88% or higher for that index. Dropout rate, the state has set an index there of 6% or less for a graduating cohort or graduating class. Chronic absenteeism, the goal here is 15% or less of our students would be considered chronically absent. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in, I think it's the next slide. And the last one is College, Career, and Civic Readiness Index. The goal here is that 85% of our graduates or more would meet this requirement. The way they meet this requirement is through either advanced coursework to include dual enrollment or AP classes, CTE completers who end up with a credential, work-based learning experience, and this would be like our nursing students who do clinicals, and service learning experience, which would be service projects. A lot of our beta students, National Honor Society students, meet this requirement through that. So those are the indicators that the state look at regarding accreditation. Next slide, please. From the 23-24 school accreditation report released earlier this month by the Virginia Department of Education, we'd like to report that Clintwood Elementary School, Irvington Elementary School, Sand Lick Elementary School, Ridgeview Middle School, and Ridgeview High School are all fully accredited for the 23-24 school year. And of course, we'd like to congratulate, as we say here in the slide, all these schools, each and every faculty, a staff member, and our students, that all schools in the division have reached full accreditation for the year. Of course, the 23-24 accreditation results are from tests taken and data received from the 22-23 school year. All right, next slide, please. SOL pass rates by testing subject areas. So a large part of this accreditation calculation, of course, as we just saw, comes through SOL testing. It's not all, but a large part of it is. So we just wanted to share there are 5 main areas that students take SOL tests in. And we've got the pass rate here for Dickinson County students as compared to the pass rate for the state. So first, in English reading, the Dickinson County pass rate was 72%, and the state pass rate was 72%. Now, this does not include those students who showed growth that we talked about earlier. This is strictly the pass rate for the SOL test. English writing, Dickinson County pass rate, 70%. The state pass rate, 64%. Mathematics, Dickinson County pass rate at 70%. The state pass rate, 69%. And the way we look at this for our county and for the state, for instance, mathematics there, that would take into account all math tests taken in the county to include 3rd through 8th grade, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry. And that would be the same for the state. It would be all those together calculated. All of our students who took a math test, 70% of them scored a passing score. A certain number of them also showed growth. But when you look at the comparison, 70% for Dickinson County, 69% for the state. Science, Dickinson County pass rate is at 68%. The state pass rate is at 66%. And history, Dickinson County pass rate is at 63%, and the state pass rate is at 65%. So out of the 5 areas for testing, Dickinson County was either at or above the state rate in 4 of those 5, and we were barely below in 1 by 2 percentage points. Next slide, please. Areas of concern, Ms. Robinson mentioned earlier, and I think there's another presentation that goes a little bit deeper into chronic absenteeism, but definitely areas of concern for the state accreditation for us this year is chronic absenteeism rates. Students who are absent for 10%, which is 18 days, or more of the school year are considered chronically absent regardless of whether absences are excused or not. So if we have a student that misses over 10%, they fall into the chronically absent category. For this past year, Ridgeview High School had a chronic absenteeism rate of 31%. Ridgeview Middle, a little over 30%. Sand Lick Elementary at 15.38%. Irvington Elementary at 14.71%. And Clintwood Elementary at 9.25%. So definitely that's an area of concern. I do not think we're alone in that. I think it's an area of concern in many places, but still, it's an area that we need to work on, and I know we have been, and Ms. Robinson will share some information on that just a little bit later. Next slide, please. Areas to celebrate, and again, right here, we're only looking at the SOL pass rates. And this is the state ranking for certain and specific tests, how Dickinson County students did compared to the rest of the state. There are 132 school divisions across the state. So we tried to pull out those who scored maybe in the top 25% across the state. Third grade reading, our students had a 78.5% pass rate, and that ranked 14th in the state. Sixth grade reading, our students had a 75.8% pass rate, and that ranked 33rd in the state. Eighth grade writing, we had a 70% pass rate, and that ranked 9th in the state. Third grade math, 85.9% pass rate, and that ranked 7th in the state. Eighth grade math, 80.1% pass rate, and that ranked 13th in the state. Algebra 1, 92.9% pass rate, and that ranked 16th in the state. And next slide, I think it's the last slide. Geometry had a pass rate of 87.2%. That ranked 27th in the state. World Geography, 68.4%, and that ranked 27th in the state. World History 2, 62.5%, and that ranked 7th in the state. Grade 8 Science at 69.4%, and that ranked 23rd in the state. And Biology at 78.2%, and that ranked 29th in the state. Of course, that concludes our slides, and again, we just want to congratulate our schools on achieving state accreditation, and we look for continued improvement as we go into this school year. We all know, and as everybody has dealt with COVID and the learning loss, and we've all worked toward improving, and I think this shows that our schools are continuing to work toward that. We've still got work to do, and I think we all know that, but I think for this school year, we're very pleased that all of our schools are fully accredited. I'll try to answer any questions if you have any, or
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Mullins? Hearing none, thank you, Mark.
thank you, sir.
Next on the agenda is, and certainly I think those scores represent a lot of hard work and a good outcome in so many areas, and we're very
Sir.
proud of our students and our teachers and all the support the families give to make all that happen. It's a difficult task to be proficient in all those areas, and they are scrupulously graded, and it does carry some weight in about everything that we do. Our next agenda item is the approval of the fiscal year 24 Virginia State budget. Ms. Taylor?
Good evening. I have just an informational item for you at this time. On September the 14th, Governor Youngkin did sign the budget bill for fiscal year 23-24. We have not yet received exact details or calculation tools from VDOE at this point, but I wanted to share with you the estimates that we have for additional funding to Dickinson County Public Schools. The first item is $1,111,629, and this is per pupil funding. It is to be used to address learning loss and implementation of the Virginia Literacy Act. $312,981. This is an increase to the state share for existing support staff salaries and benefits. $119,606. This is for the additional 2% increase from the 22-23 SOQ funded position rates effective January 1st, 2024. So you'll just take note that that is the amount for this year, and it is a partial year as it's effective in January. So the total expected increase in the state funding for this fiscal year is $1,544,216. Do you have any questions? We will be coming back to you most likely in November for approval on revised salary scales and then a budget amendment to incorporate those.
Does anyone have a question, Ms. Taylor? Hearing none, thank you, Ms. Taylor. The next item on the agenda is the 2023-2024 attendance slogan discussion of chronic absenteeism. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Rasnick and board members. I think we've probably, if there's a theme today in our meeting, is just celebrating the successes of our children, but also bringing out some concerns that we may have regarding attendance and its impact. Even though that the state is revising the accreditation process possibly for the 24-25 school year, the chronic absenteeism is one of those components that appears to be, to remain. And so I wanted to just take a little bit of time to go over chronic absenteeism, what the definition is, what is the difference between it and truancy, and how we are asking all of our parents, our DCPS families to work with us and to encourage our children to be at school each day, every day, and all day. So the next slide, please. This is our new attendance slogan. Hashtag Run with the Pack, be here. And of course, be here means be at school. And this was voted on by administrators across our school division. Run with the pack, hashtag Run with the Pack, be here was the preferred slogan. But the picture that we added, I think, added that just much more to that. So that you will see everywhere, hopefully on all of our stationery and on things that our schools are sending out, things that our office will be sending out. That will be our new attendance slogan for the 23-24 school year. Next slide, please. Before COVID, the guidelines were much clearer. Most children who didn't miss school unless the child was running a fever, was throwing up, or was exhibiting serious health issues. But you know, COVID changed all of that, and they changed the rules of the game. With COVID, if a child had a cold, sniffles, headache, slight cough, slight temperature, or had been exposed to someone with COVID, they couldn't come to school and were asked to remain at home for 8 to 10 days. With alternate schedules and virtual day schedules during those 2 COVID years, some of our students, we believe, may have gotten out of the habit of attending school on a regular basis. So we have pre-COVID, we have during COVID, and now we are at post-COVID. And what does that mean? Although now we are at post-COVID, we know that we have outbreaks of COVID and in all of our schools, and we've had already this year. Some of our families are still confused about the message. When do we send our children to school? When is it safe? Should I keep them at home? What is it? And are concerned about that. As I've said, this is post-COVID. And so now, post-COVID school is in session 5 days a week. And so we ask our parents to, unless the child is running a fever, throwing up, or exhibiting serious health symptoms or pre-COVID conditions, that a child should attend school. Children should arrive at school on time and remain in school during the school day. So that is one. I'm sure the attendance issue is many issues, but as we discussed it, it does appear that there's just mixed signals right now about when is it safe to send a child to school. So I just again want to emphasize that we are post-COVID, which is very similar to pre-COVID, and children are expected to be at school. The next slide is what is chronic absenteeism, and there's a lot of confusion about that. Chronic absenteeism is a term that the Virginia Department of Education uses, and what it means is that chronic absenteeism is defined as missing 10% or more of an academic year for any reason, and that includes excused or unexcused absences. There seems to be some confusion there, but it's excused or unexcused absences or suspensions, or even days that children take to miss on vacation. All of those days count as chronic absenteeism. Based on a 180-day school year, that means that a student would miss about 18 days per year. So, if a child misses 18 plus days a year, then he or she is considered chronic by the Virginia Department of Education and by the Dickinson County Public Schools. Now again, chronic absenteeism counts all absences. Excused, unexcused, exemption, whatever the reason, it is considered all absences. It emphasizes the academic impact of missed days. You know, what is the child missing when he or she is not at school? What, even though they make up work, even though they have everything, what else are all the things that they're missing in the class that you cannot repeat or you cannot be a part of? You know, at a glance, you may say, well, you know, my child misses just 2 days a month. But when you look at that all year long, then you can see that at the end of the year, that child may miss 18 or more days, and they're considered chronically absent. So that is the definition of chronic absenteeism. Excused, unexcused, suspensions, everything counts. Next slide, please. Truancy. Truancy only counts unexcused absences, and I think that's where some parents are a little bit confused. Well, my child has 15 excused absences, it's okay. Well, they may have excused absences, they may not be counted truant, but they're still counted as chronic absent. With truancy, it emphasizes compliance with school rules and the law, and Virginia law, which states that all children at the age, of 18 or younger must attend school. It does rely on legal and administrative solutions. Chronic absences and truancy are not interchangeable terms. They describe different aspects of absenteeism, of being absent problem, and require different approaches. For the 23-24 school year, DCPS is taking more proactive approach to students and families who are truant. Again, it's unexcused absences, but we know that just as chronic absenteeism, we know that many children can be at school, can be a part of our day, but do not have excused absences and are considered truant. Now, why is this a problem? Next slide, please. What does chronic absenteeism look like in Dickson County, and what is the impact on our children? During the last school year, 413 students, approximately 1/4 of our students, were chronic and missed 18 or more days of school. Now, remember, and I'm going to emphasize that again, that is excused and unexcused. 413 children. This is a significant number of children. What we have seen in our own data and across the state is this. SOL test results and assessments across the state and in Dickson County indicate that students who miss 18 plus days of school during the year scored 18% lower than students with regular attendance in English assessments last year. That's 18%. Students who missed 36 days or more scored 31% lower in reading assessments than students with regular attendance. That's just in English. The scarier part is in the math. That impact appears to be greater. Students who missed 18 days of school scored 25% lower than students with regular attendance in math, and students who missed 36 days of school scored 43% lower in math than students with regular attendance. So what does this mean? The impact on attendance and learning and test results is evident. Children cannot learn if they are not in school, and they cannot be expected to do as well as their peers on assessments when attendance is an issue. Attendance is one of those areas that all of our families can have an immediate, positive, and significant impact by ensuring that their child is at school every single day, unless they're exhibiting the post-COVID health symptoms. Next slide, please. How are we addressing the issue of chronic absenteeism? You saw by Mr. Mullins's reports that 2 of our schools are failed in the chronic absenteeism. The other 3 schools are very close, or last year, to meeting that goal. So during the 23-24 school year, as a school division, we're committed to working with students and families by taking these opportunities to communicate the importance of attendance to our families by helping children to establish habits that will help them to be successful as students as well as successful adults in their careers and in the workplace. To reach this commitment, this is what our goals are. 1, we have met this goal to expand breakfast options, and we're providing breakfast and lunch at no cost to our families. So feeding our children at school being an economic issue for our families, we have removed that obstacle. 2, we've added the after-school programs, such as Wolfpack After the Bell at Ridgeview Middle School, and now adding Junior Wolfpack for Ridgeview Elementary School and Clintwood Elementary School, so that our students who need additional remediation, need additional child care, whatever the issues are, they can remain after school with us, and they're well taken care of, they're safe, they're fed, and they're learning and participating in fun activities. Each school has an absence intervention team. We've implemented this year. This team is responsible to looking at individual students who are absent for numerous days, up to and including truancy or being chronically absent, and ensuring that their needs are met using all our available resources. The absence intervention team monitors data, they meet with families, they provide intensive interventions, they establish positive expectations and open communications with the students and the family. We're closely monitoring and celebrating successes of our students. We're reducing the barriers to attendance, such as transportation and mental health challenges, by continued collaboration with communities and schools and Propel counseling. It's much better if a child is anxious, facing mental illnesses or challenges, to be at our school where they're receiving one-on-one services than being at home and not being able to receive those services. We've established an attendance coordinator. Dwayne Edwards is our attendance coordinator, and he's focusing solely on student attendance and helping our families and our students with attendance. And the last thing we're doing is that we're asking our DCPS families for their commitment to ensure that their child attends school daily. Next slide. We know that truancy and chronic absenteeism will not be solved overnight, and it will take a community effort to address. This is not just a school issue, and this is not just a home issue. This is an opportunity for both DCPS schools and our parents and our families to partner to address and help to resolve this issue. One thing for certain, we've shown time and time again, when families, DPS families and DCPS schools commit to working together for our children, great things happen and problems are solved. I think this board has been a witness to that with Ridgeview Elementary Schools, and all of our schools. Attending school on time creates clear expectations for our children, not only now, but also how to be successful in their future career and in their work life. So this is not something that we're saying, okay, let's just be on time, come to school, but we feel that that's one of these building blocks that will help our children to be successful in later life. Next slide. Questions, comments regarding chronic absenteeism, our emphasis on chronic absenteeism, and what the division is trying to accomplish.
Just out of curiosity, as far as comparison to other counties in Virginia, how do we stack up with other counties with chronic absenteeism?
Good question. Chronic absenteeism is an issue across the state of Virginia. It is not just a Dickinson County issue. It is all of us. One of the reasons that we became very concerned with chronic absenteeism is, number one, when we saw the number of children that were chronic. Number two, when we saw our SLL scores and how students that had missed 18-plus or days had scored or were achieving. And we felt that chronic absenteeism is one of those areas that is a COVID issue. Okay. While we had truancy before COVID, chronic absenteeism did not seem to be the issue that it is now. When you see Ridgeview High School, Ridgeview Middle School, 31% chronic, and that's excused and unexcused, then you see how significant that is. When they might have been, pre-COVID, they might have been 9%. 10%. So that's not an issue just for Dickinson County, but what we're trying to do is educate our parents because we understand that the messages change all the time about when their child is to attend school. So we hope that this is one of those issues, whenever we have an issue that we can partner with our parents because they are so collaboratively work with us so well, we try to work with them, and that's what we're asking. Did I answer your question?
Thank you.
So it's a statewide problem. It's more so in Virginia because it's part of the accreditation process, and where other states may not have chronic absenteeism as their accreditation process, that's why it's more of a focus in the state of Virginia. Other questions or comments?
Does anyone else have a question, Ms. Robinson?
I think Mrs. Martin has run with a pack, so this is for you to keep. And so if you'll put this up somewhere just to remind yourself or remind others that hashtag run with a pack, be here, that means come to school. Be a part of the pack and run with us. And let's see how far we can go together. Thank you.
Well, I think it's long overdue that this particular concern has been addressed in such a way as it has. I certainly hope it is successful, and it's obvious that if students are not in school on a regular basis, it's going to affect them in a negative way and affect the division in a negative way, and I just hope everybody can come together and let us all try to do a better job, do what we can to see that that works. Our next agenda item is the 21st Century Community Learning Center for RES and CS Award announcement. Ms. Robinson.
Thank you, sir. I mentioned that just briefly in our presentation, but we are blessed to have received a second 21st Century grant. We already have the after-school, Wolfpack After School. Now we have junior Wolfpack after-school program. And this will be for our elementary children. It will be both for Clintwood Elementary and Ridgeview Elementary School. We will, next year, of course, we will all be here together, but this year we will transport children from Clintwood Elementary School to Ridgeview Elementary School for the program. And we also provide transportation home to the students. So it's a wonderful program. It begins on October the 6th. We're very excited to be able to offer this program for our children. Again, and if you recall from Mr. Setzer's presentation and Ms. Fletcher's presentation, they do art, welcome the families in, and they get to be a part of the after-school program, and so those are also very enjoyable. So again, we're very proud to have received the second 21st Century Learning Grant. It is for $199,000, almost $200,000 for 3 years, and we're very excited that we are able to offer this to our children. And hopefully this will also help us to address the issues that our students may be facing. So congratulations to I just want to congratulate our board for their support and to thank them that they've allowed us to partner with the 21st Century to receive this award. Thank you.
Does anyone have a question for Ms. Robinson regarding this particular item? Hearing none, our last agenda item is board approval for meeting day rescheduling and payroll process November 2023 and January 2024. Ms. Taylor.
Okay, as Kathy Music had mentioned, we are upon October, which is kind of hard to believe, but looking forward, with October coming right up, we need to look at the holiday months and the winter months, and our normal payroll process is the direct deposit dates or the last working day of each month. With holidays that will be coming up and adjusting those schedules, I do have 3 proposed payroll direct deposit dates for November, December, and January. For November, we are proposing Friday, November the 17th, 2023 for payroll direct deposit. In December, Friday, December the 15th, 2023. And in January of 2024, we are proposing Friday, January the 19th, 2024 for payroll direct deposit dates. I believe that you have in there a mention of maybe November board meeting date, if Ms. Robinson would want to give that date. Then we will just need board approval to move forward with those.
And we're proposing to move the November meeting to Wednesday, November the 29th. That is the Wednesday after Thanksgiving. We are off the Thanksgiving week, and we ask the board's consideration to approve that date as a meeting date. So we just need a motion for meeting date rescheduling and payroll process November the 23rd through January the 24th. Mr. Chair.
I move to make those date changes.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion? What's on the 24th of January? Why is that date significant?
It's January 2024.
January 2024?
Yeah, we're looking at January the 19th, 2024 for payroll. I think what she was saying was November 2023 through January 2024.
Okay.
I apologize. I'd have missed it. Thank you.
And the only meeting date was, the change was 1 November, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's on November the 15th, and it's very early.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion?
I think Dr. Lau did that.
Dr. Lyle, okay. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Is there anything else, Ms. Robinson? If not, that concludes the agenda items this time. We will have board comments. Mr. Mullins, we'll start with you.
Well, it was good to see all the schools accredited with the pass rate on the SOLs, and it was good to see some of the statistical scoring that we did well on, and it was good to see the General Assembly approve the 2% raise for our school system, which is badly needed. And I was really glad to see the chronic absenteeism for us to take the initiative to apply ourselves to prevent and to increase the students to be at school where they should be.
I feel our meeting tonight is a combination of celebration and concern. Celebration over the building progress and the SOL results, and obviously the concern over chronic absenteeism. But the proposed action is a positive factor also.
Mr. Hicks.
Well, first of all, it's very good. We can celebrate the budget addition from the state. That's very good news for our teachers. They and all of our staff. They certainly deserve it. I just lost it. I have no idea. The chronic absenteeism, I think, I know where I was going. SOL scores. So those SOL scores, there's a lot to be proud of there. So hats off to our teachers and staff and everyone that is a part of that. If we can tackle this chronic absenteeism some, I think those numbers will shine even a little bit brighter, and we climb up there with those. And it's very impressive of all the things that are going on in our school system as far as the new communities and schools there that can support our students, Propel Counseling that we have going on, along with after-school programs. So all those things, when you think of all the great services we have, and along with the great teachers and staff that we have, and I don't know why anybody wouldn't want to be at school, being around a bunch of good people and with a lot of good things going on. So hopefully our families will partner with us and make those numbers go down. That's all I got.
I don't have a lot to add. I agree with what everybody's said. I do think utilizing those, Jason said, communities and schools and Propel, and also Department of Behavioral Health and the services they provide can help address some of the issues that we're talking about, along with many others. I was glad to hear about the 21st Century Community Learning Grant. That's very good news to secure that. Also, always happy to hear, the budget process for the state was, sort of long awaited, but the good news arrived now, so that's great news for our staff and for our teachers. See. But yeah, just kind of echoing what everybody else said, some of the challenges, there's still good news with that, with accreditation and with the scores. So that's about all I had as well.
The accreditation scores certainly are to be commended, and that takes an awful lot of people to do an awful lot of work to have those outcomes in a good way. And it certainly is important that students be here and teachers be here as often as possible. If we don't have either there on an extended basis, we've got a problem, a serious problem. I would hope that with all the restrictions that we had before that are now gone, that everybody's informed of that, and maybe that might have, it's kind of hard to get that word out in terms that are easily understood after going through those 2 years in the way that we did. And, the fact is that those scores probably show what happened for those years that we were, but I certainly appreciate the work that's been done and the outcome that's been achieved. I hope that it keeps going up and up and up, that we're back in the top quartile and lead the state, and I think we're capable of that. This includes the agenda items, and we will Now I'm going to close session pursuant to Section 2.23711, Paragraph A of the Code of Virginia. There will be a closed session for the purpose of employment issues relating to discussion or consideration of specific individuals for employment as a middle school English teacher, custodians, substitutes, coaches, resignations, retirements, FMLA, as pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711, Paragraph A1. Student early graduation request pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.23711, Paragraph A and Paragraph 2 and 3, to consult with legal counsel regarding the investment of public school funds associated with school construction and consultation regarding actual or probable litigation, along with consultation regarding specific matters requiring legal advice pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.23711, Paragraph A, 6, 7, and 8 of the Code of Virginia. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Oh, no.
Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Is there a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes. We're now out of closed session. Ms. Robinson, will you please read the certification?
Yes, sir. Whereas the Dixon County School Board has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative vote, and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law, now therefore be it resolved that the Dixon County School Board hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only the public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed session was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Would you please certify?
I certify.
I certify. I certify.
I certify.
Are there any motions from closed session?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a motion for our board to approve early graduation for students 478, 485, 536, 640, 825, 941, 949, and 1955.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I think you need a second,
Do
Mr.
we need a second on that?
Yep.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Further motions?
Mr. Chairman, I move that our board authorize our district superintendent to sign an easement relating to the land where the school board office is located in the town of Clintwood for water and sewer upon approval informed by our school board attorney.
Is there any discussion? Is there a motion? A second.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Are there other motions?
Mr. Hackney, there may be a personnel.
Oh, yep. I move that we approve personnel recommendations from closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Is there any other business to discuss? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?